Right, okay guys, I'm going to be taking my machine apart again, having its yearly clean inside all the display area and the buttons, and I'm going to show you how to do that, taking it apart step by step and a bit more in depth than the last time I showed you, and then we'll put it all back together again and your machine will be really nice and clean. It's already had a bit of a bath. I've already cleaned all the coil, all the shaft and a bit of the control box. So right, let's get into it. Right, okay, step one, you want to spin off these washers, this waterproof connection for your coil. Just wiggle it, sort of rock it back and forwards a couple of times to ease the plug out, and then it'll come out just like that. So that's the coil out. Now we're going to do the same to the other side. This is the headphone one. So again, just spin it out, rock it backwards and forwards, give it a wiggle, and out she comes. Right, now I'm going to do the next stage, which for mine is going to be different to yours if you haven't got this mod, where I had to put this bracket on to hold my machine because the pillars have snapped off. So I'm just going to undo these 4 screws here. If you haven't got this, you've got the normal one, you're just going to unscrew the 2 screws that go through the back of your shaft, hold on to the machine and take this away from the shaft. Okay, so by this stage you should have your machine off of your shaft. You'll probably have the cover on the front of the speaker still. You can give this a clean all around, sort of the outside of these bits. Don't get any water inside the connections there, unless you dry it out quickly, blow into it, whatever. But yeah, once you've got this machine, you're going to need a hairdryer, and you want to kind of have it set on its medium heat setting if it's got one. If not, don't let it get too hot, just nice and warm. You just want to be heating the glue up on the underside of the sticker covering the perspex, and then you want to have something ready for going into the corner to be able to sort of get underneath it and then peel it away. I use a modelling knife just to get it nicely under there, and then I push my thumb, it gives me a surface. Just be careful of the blade if you do use this method, and I'll show you how that comes off. Right, okay, you should end up with this off the machine. Just put it to one side, and now we're left with this, and yet there's more dirt in there, just as I expected there to be. Right, so now we're going to need to undo these 2 screws. Right, so I've got a tamper set here, and there's loads of different sizes. This one happens to be a T2, T for tamper, and basically what they are is they are like hexagonal shaped, and they have a little hole in the bottom of them, and that's what you're going to need to undo both of these screws there and there. So I'm going to do that. Right, now the 2 screws that I've taken out from the front, just so you're aware, just make sure you don't lose the little waterproof kind of orange washers that go with them. They're supposed to go underneath like that because they stop the water, even if it gets to the top of the screw, that saves it running down through the thread and into your machine. So make sure you keep them safe. Guys, right, now we're at this stage. You want to take your batteries out at the back, because you don't really want your batteries in there anymore, so just take your batteries out, put them to one side, and then we're going to stick something thin and plastic. I mean, I'm using a propeller head off a mini quadcopter, but you just want something that's not going to damage the machine, but at the same time it's going to force the screen to start coming out all the way around. You don't want to use anything metal really, because of the waterproof sort of washer that goes all the way around the edge, because you're likely to do some damage to it. So I just, like I'm doing now, just run some plastic, get your nails in there and wiggle it out. Okay, so you should hear a little clonk, and you'll be at this kind of stage where it's just starting to come out, and you just go around the edges until it lifts off a little bit like that. Right, now we want to disconnect some things, so I'm going to show you which bits you need to disconnect now. Right, so if you lay the machine back down, you can basically have this laying down on its side, and what we've got here is the coil connector, which all you want to do is just pinch this little bit over and then just sort of rock it and pull it off like that. Get that one out of the way, and then the same with the headphone. Again, just pinch that, rock it off, and they're out of the way now. So now we can easily get to these screws, these two screws that side and that side, and that's what we're going to do next. This is the speaker cable. You could disconnect this. Some people modify their machines where they actually want a volume control, so they put like a variable resistor switch, and they sort of put a hole in the case and then glue around that, and so they've got control over the speaker volume. But we're not going to do that today. We're just going to take this screen off now so we can clean inside. Right, so using my Phillips screwdriver, I'm just going to take these 4 screws out. It's a good idea at this point to earth yourself as well, using an earth strap. I don't know if many people know much about electronics, but when you're working on boards like this, you should have some sort of strap that's down to earth, just to save yourself putting electrostatic across the board and damaging components that are on it. So right, that's them 4 screws out. Now we're just gonna ease off the board like that, take the screen out of the way, and then just rest that back down, because this is the bit we're interested in cleaning at the moment. Right, so with our screen, there's this little bit of plastic here that we want to pop out, and the easiest way to do that is to just get your screwdriver and just push down on these buttons, and you hear it pop out, and you're left with these 3 bits like this. So we're going to want to clean this up, get all that dirt out of there, and as well give that a little bit of a clean, and then we're going to clean all the dust from the inside of this. Okay, so we've got our bits all cleaned and dried, so we just want to put this back in here. Okay, so the way to get the buttons back in the perspex once you've cleaned it is you want to get this bit back in these buttons first, make sure it's in there properly, and then when that's in there nicely, then push it down into this, and just check, just make sure all the buttons have come through nicely, all the right level, and then just give it a nice little push on the bottom, and that's ready to go back on. So we can now put that to one side. Right, so next stage, again using cotton buds, Just wet them, clean a bit, turn it, and just clean off all this gunk that's going around all the edge of the machine. And if there's any little bits inside here, just give that a nice little clean. Like I say, in my previous videos of taking apart, I did this gluing method and everything's still okay since it was glued, so I've left it like that. You could do that if you wanted to, just get a glue gun in there. And so once we've cleaned this, we're going to put it all back together again. Right, I've cleaned all that up now. One last little thing I'm going to mention is if you get some just like general purpose oil, put a little bit on a cotton bud and just sort of grease up this bit, just enough to so it doesn't dry out really, because it's rubber. It will eventually dry out. That's the only reason why it's covered in that mainly. It gives it a nice slide-in fit, but at the same time stops the rubber from drying out. So yeah, just give that a quick coating, and once that's done, I'm going to pop this back in here, screw it back to it, and then we'll put it all back together. And make sure there's these two little nipples on this black bit sticking up, because they actually have to slot into those two little holes down where the keypad goes. So let's spin this around so you get them lined up with that. Drop this in, and then we're ready to screw it back down. Right, that's those screws back in. I've already clipped the coil one back on and the speaker. Now when you push this back in, just make sure the cables don't get trapped when you're pushing it back. Then squeeze it back down, just rock it in nice and gently, and then you're ready to put the screws back in the top. Right, so we've got the screen back on the rest of the box. Now you just need to carefully put back your, let's get that out of the way, you need to put back your sticker. Make sure you do it carefully. I would warm this up with the hairdryer a little bit just to make it tacky again, and then put it down the same sort of direction that it came off of. So you just push it down that way all the way to the end, and we'll be done. And there we go, she is back, nice and clean inside, everything checked out. Put it back on the shaft now, and Happy New Year to everyone, and Happy New Year to my machine. May it find just as many cool things as it did this year, no doubt it will. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. I'm going to put this back on my shaft now, and I will see you in my next video. I dig the high tone.